with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself.
Well, the messages between Charlie Kirk's alleged killer and his trans boyfriend are in no way touching whatsoever. My question, as he faces the death penalty for all his charges, does he deserve any leniency? Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my freedom-loving friend. This is where we spread the light of truth and freedom, because truth conquers. Well, as still alleged, looks pretty guilty to me, Charlie Kirk's assassin has now been formally charged. I'll share with you the charges. He certainly faces the death penalty, and he laid out a trail of really good evidence. There's a text exchange between him and his trans boyfriend that is just perfectly orchestrated evidence, almost suspiciously so. And it proves he might be evil, but he's also stupid. And a question I have, this 22-year-old man, as he faces the death penalty for all his charges, he faces many penalties, death penalty being one of them, does he deserve any leniency? I'll share my opinion with you as we go, and we'll also get to his text message thread with his trans boyfriend so that I can provide commentary along the way. Hashtag he's really stupid and evil. But first, let's hear it from the Utah District Attorney himself. What is this vile piece of garbage charged with?
Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide.
I am glad that's acknowledged. The horrific crime from the get-go. And it's more horrific knowing that there are children present. And one of the other previous charges also acknowledging in the charge, you also were putting other people, aside from Charlie Kirk, in grave danger. Hence, when the attempt was taken on President Trump, he walked away with a hole through his ear. Someone else lost their life. So on behalf of the people that were there and the children that witnessed it, I'm glad to hear this.
The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts.
That's the trans boyfriend.
Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him.
I appreciate the district attorney not playing the pronoun game. His roommate's a boy that pretends to be a girl, and he said him. So I'm glad we're just being straightforward with facts here.
Count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
Before we get to the text exchange and the philosophical pondering Is this guy, who's looking really guilty and therefore pretty likely to receive the maximum punishment, death penalty, does he deserve any leniency? The district attorney also shared some information at his news conference that is very relevant when it comes to understanding what dangerous ideologies have infiltrated the suspect's minds.
Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate.
Well, it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black. Well, it's not hypocritical of him accusing man of God spreading hate when this guy is so filled with hate, he literally assassinated him. Now, there's a good reason why these very specific charges have been brought so swiftly, and his trial begins very swiftly as well, September 29th, if I'm not mistaken. And that's because this evil young man was also very stupid. He laid out the perfect paper trail via text messages for it to just be undeniable. Admissions of guilt, very well documented. So let's go through those so we can exercise our critical thinking and our ridicule along the way. Hey, we'll get back to the video in just a second, but first, have you been struggling with mood swings, low energy, or hormonal imbalances? Let me tell you about Venus and Mars from the Wellness Company. They're doctor-formulated nutraceuticals designed to restore balance, energy, and vitality without synthetic hormones or stimulants. Ladies, Venus supports estrogen and progesterone balance, eases PMS and cramping while boosting energy and libido. With clinically dosed ingredients like DIM, maca, Vitex, and broccoli sprouts, there's no fluff or fillers. Men, Mars helps naturally increase testosterone, enhance circulation, and improve strength, focus, and sexual performance. Made with Tongkat Ali, Tribulus, horny goatweed, and zinc. Every ingredient is present in a meaningful and safe dose. There's no gimmicks here, just clean daily hormone support for men and women. If you're a couple looking for a boost, Venus and Mars will have you feeling like you're on another planet. Head to twc.health/JPReacts and use code JPReacts to get 15% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/JPReacts, code JPReacts for 15% off. And uplevel your performance today. Now back to the video. Let's see some of them. So keep in mind, the alleged, very likely killer is Robinson. Roommate is his trans boyfriend. Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard. Roommate, you're joking, right? His great sense of humor. Robinson, I'm still okay, my love, which is what mainstream media at the top of this video saw. They said, oh, these messages were very touching. They are despicable. Both the messages and mainstream media. I'm still okay, my love. Shouldn't be long until I can come home. Not coming home, well, ever, just so you know. But I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. Roommate, you weren't the one that did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Now that's a really good admission of guilt. He literally stated the answer, the admission of guilt, twice. I am. I'm sorry. Basically 3 times. By the way, not saying I'm sorry he did it. He's basically insinuating sorry for any stress and worry this causes you. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. Robinson, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out. but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? I had enough of his hatred. What a loving ideology he was filled with. I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence aside from what you're literally writing right now, you moron. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried that this is where his psychotic mind just becomes even more clearly, evidently psychotic. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back my grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. Well, they found Prince. They found the rifle and they found Prince, and they found this, you talking about your Prince being on the rifle. Thank you for the evidence. But here's the even just like more psychotic part. This guy just brutally took a good man's life. Here's where his worry is at. I'm worried what my dad would say if I didn't bring back my grandpa's rifle. Like, worried dad would be mad at him. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Oh, well, maybe he's concerned that his dad would grow suspicious if he didn't bring back his grandpa's rifle. That's probably where we're going. How the F will I explain it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how he was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing stinks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope. And then he goes on to bring more charges against himself. Delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Yeah, really diehard MAGA, as in suspecting his son killed someone when his son killed someone. And he concludes the messages going on to say he's going to be turning himself in. And I'm grateful he did that. So what we just saw there is an absolute, to call him a nut job is too kind. Even though he is that, he's evil. He was completely possessed by evil. Now the question is, as he faces the death penalty with a litany of other charges that carry additional penalties, but they're kind of a wash if he's convicted of the death penalty or sentenced to the death penalty. The question is, this 22-year-old man who obviously got infected with really bad ideas, does he deserve any leniency? I'm really curious what you think. Please let me know in the comments below. Here is my opinion. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He is a grown man. As young as he is, and immature as his mind is, very immature, very, very weak, immature mind. He is, in fact, a grown-up, 100% responsible for his actions. Was he influenced by far leftist ideology? Well, based on the district attorney, yes, he was. However, with grown-ups, it is 100% your responsibility what you allow yourself to be influenced by, period. That's self-responsibility. I believe this person should see no leniency, and in fact, I hope he is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which he will be, assuming everything checks out and like he's in fact the assassin and all roads really look like that. I hope he is convicted of maximum penalties. Here's the only scenario with this kind of thing that I would remotely be interested in leniency. If a child was abducted by a cult or raised in a cult, and there as a teenager, the cult leads them to do a homicidal thing. They were unfortunately an innocent child who had their impressionable minds very violated, very invaded, and those that should have been protecting them unfortunately weren't. I would be interested in a combination of leniency while also protecting the public, while also rehabbing that person who's still a minor. In this case, all bets are off. Yes, this killer likely had very negative influences on his mind. And each of us are responsible for what we allow to influence our mind. That can't be anybody's responsibility other than yours and mine alone. And he is responsible for what influenced his mind. Was it evil? Was it evil intentionally perpetuated by other evil people? I would guess so. Yet the buck stops with him. It's his responsibility. And I would dare say not only is he a danger to society and would continue to be a danger to society, but he is also responsible for accepting the consequences of his actions. Took away a great leader for so many Americans. More importantly, he took away a wife's husband and young children's father. For that, I'll be following this closely, and the only good thing that this evil young man did is lay out a crystal clear evidence trail full of admissions of guilt. Many suspect, including myself, this will be a fairly quick, speedy trial. And for the sake of closure and everyone's healing, I do hope it is. With that said, please share your opinion. Is there any degree of leniency that you feel in your heart? Share that in the comments below. By the way, does he deserve forgiveness? I would dare say I don't have it in me to forgive him right now. I would hope someday I would be big enough as a person to do so. But more importantly, the real forgiveness, it's not up to us. That's between him and God.